We are talking about the spooky Christmas horror film, Christmas Presents. Now this one is also known as Why Hide and is available on Shudder. Now this one was directed and co-written by James Edward Cook, and he co-wrote this with Karen Taylor. And it stars Charlotte Atkinson as Mackenzie. Now Mackenzie is a troubled young woman. We learn that her father has recently passed away through cancer. Her mother had died at some point in her past, and her twin sister disappeared under mysterious circumstances when they were kids. And now it is Christmas Eve and she is all alone, so her friends decide that they're going to get together and have a little bit of a party in this large kind of like stately home manor type place. So her and her kind of 5 middle class friends who wouldn't look out of place in a movie like Four Weddings and a Funeral decide that they're going to go and have this kind of soiree in this very lush house. However, what they don't know is that there is an evil, malevolent presence lurking in the forest just outside. What will happen? Well, you have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss Christmas Presents. So let's start with what works first of all. But before I go to that, I've got to say this is not really a Christmas movie. So despite this being called Christmas Presents, it's really just a backdrop, so don't be expecting anything too festive. Anyway, so what works with this film? I've got to say the first thing that struck me was the production value, because it does look like it's a high quality production. I mean, I'm sure it's not a huge budget here, but nonetheless there is a sure hand behind the camera here, because it does look like it's filmed with some confidence. The cinematography here, I've got to say, is outstanding. There are some truly fantastic and beautiful shots and sequences in this movie. I feel the director and his team do an absolute fantastic job of really kind of having a great kind of camera crew there and some really good shots. I've got to say as well, it helps that the location here is absolutely a gift to a filmmaker, because it both looks beautiful and there's some really fantastically beautiful shots, but also kind of dark and kind of eerie at the kind of the same time. So it really it is a kind of a gift and a character in its own right to a certain degree. On the technical side here, I thought the movie was very proficient. I think everything works from the kind of the lighting, the sound design, editing, all of that kind of stuff. Even the kind of the soundtrack, I thought is all very kind of proficient and you know. And you'll be impressed with the kind of the quality of that, I think. So the workmanship here on that kind of stuff is all very good. The movie also has some really kind of funny lines in it. There's a character here, this Welsh woman, who is one of the friends, is an absolute pleasure to watch on screen, because she's absolutely hilarious. She seems so out of place compared to everyone else, but nonetheless, she is very, very funny and has some great lines here, and probably my favourite character, I have to say. However, there are some funny lines delivered from the rest of the cast as well. Now, not the creature exactly, but should we call it the Presence's MO, is to try and ultimately make people come and face their darkest fears. So there is some variety in regards to what people will face and kind of how they kind of what they'll kind of come across. There's actually one quite comical death as well in this movie that probably one of the only ones that you see on screen, I will say. But nonetheless, there's actually quite a comical death that I won't spoil for you. But nonetheless, it was kind of fun. What doesn't work? Okay, so obviously, like I've said, if you're expecting a really Christmassy movie, don't be, because obviously it was originally called Why Hide. I just think Christmas happened to be the backdrop because I didn't want her to be alone, but it's because of the title change, it might seem more Christmassy than it actually is. So there's that. However, there are a few other things as well. So let's talk about the kind of the characterizations first of all. So our group of characters seem unrealistically diverse. It just seems that they've kind of had this kind of very kind of broad spectrum of people that seemed unlikely that they would really be friends. I mean, they're just a little bit. There's one who's significantly older. They all seem from very different kind of background and stuff like that. It just seems like they've kind of like, let's try and have every type of different kind of person that we have. Like we have this lesbian couple, and one of them is this kind of like this Welsh woman who looks like she's a kind of a farmer. She's quite kind of robust, very sort of salt of the earth. But her girlfriend is this very kind of like, I don't know if the Americans might know this reference, but kind of like Made in Chelsea, like Kim Kardashian sort of type one, I suppose. I don't know about those things. I'm reaching on that one, but they just don't seem realistic in regards to having a little bit of too much of a kind of a wide variety in characters. But that's not, we see that a lot in films, to be fair. However, I think the most egregious issue with the actual characters is our main character of Mackenzie, played by Charlotte Atkinson, because her character out of all of our principal cast here is the least interesting. Her character really is very vanilla, whilst despite others maybe being a little bit kind of OTT, but at least they have a little bit of fun and a little bit of character to them, and have either kind of quirks or kind of qualities that make them seem somewhat kind of personable or irritating, however you want to kind of play it. But Mackenzie's character is just boring, unfortunately. So this is our principal protagonist as well. So it's a little bit of a shame when our kind of our main character is the most vanilla and has the least going on. And I have to say, no offence to Charlotte Atkinson, she was probably the least out of the acting as well. Certainly not a bad actor. Certainly not bad acting here. But there are a few scenes in this movie where I felt that Atkinson's performance just lacked a little bit of confidence. And it just came across on screen. Not all of the time, but just a few times throughout the movie. The movie loves the cliche as well. I mean, despite the fact this is 2018 and we've had so many kind of like meta horror films now that kind of take a piss of cliches, we still see them. I mean, there's a point in this movie where people know that there's something supernatural going on, but they still decide to go and split up in different directions. And even when they know that you know, this thing is creating their worst fears, they still react to it and stuff like that. The movie also, maybe it's not a criticism exactly, but the movie has a surprise antagonist. But it gives it away. I mean, you just need to look at the poster and think, this character seems like they'd be more important because they're on the poster. However, they've only had about 10 seconds of screen time. I wonder if they're more significant. So why have it on the poster? It kind of gives it away. But also there's a scene in the movie where it's very obvious that there's something amiss. I'm not going to give it away just in case, you know, but there you go. The effects are a mixed bag, and don't be expecting to know exactly what happened in this film, because I feel this movie leaves a lot of kind of plot threads dangling. I mean, it ends on, without kind of giving any spoilers, it ends on a fairly dark note. But it kind of, you don't really know what it is that's going on to a certain degree. I mean, it will give you some time, you know, it will kind of give you some idea, but it really kind of only scratches the surface of, you know, what's actually happened here. You know, you don't really know. So overall, I've got to say this movie was well made in regards to technical side of stuff, and there are some kind of fun characters here. But I feel it's just let down a little bit by some cliches and some kind of like, unfortunately, a not very interesting kind of lead character. And just a few other kind of like more nitpicks than anything, to be honest. However, it is I would say a well-made production, and does have some entertainment value, and there are some funny moments in it as well. So I will give this movie a 6 out of 10. I do think it's kind of an okay kind of horror movie. It's just not going to kind of be particularly memorable, really. But it's probably worth a watch if you just want to watch something which is, you know, fairly polished, has fairly good production values, and has a very kind of minimal Christmas theme. So 6 out of 10. Have you seen this? What did you think of it? Leave me comments, and I shall look forward to you next time. Bye for now.